In December 1872, a merchant ship named the Mary Celeste was found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean, utterly deserted. Her crew, captain, his wife, and their young daughter had vanished without a trace. This is no legend or tale spun for drama. Every detail comes straight from historical records, ship logs, official court documents, and eyewitness accounts. The Mary Celeste is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the sea, a ghost ship that sailed into history with more questions than answers. Let's dive into the true story of what happened and why it still captivates us today. On November 7, 1872, the Mary Celeste, a 103-foot brigantine, set sail from New York City, bound for Genoa, Italy. Built in 1861 in Nova Scotia, she was a robust vessel designed for long ocean voyages, with a deep hull and a reputation for reliability. Her captain, Benjamin Spooner Briggs, was 37 years old, a devout Christian from Massachusetts with a strong reputation as a disciplined and skilled mariner. He'd commanded ships for years and was known for his cautious approach. Accompanying him were his wife, Sarah Briggs, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia Matilda. The couple had another child, a son, who stayed behind with relatives. The crew consisted of 7 men, carefully chosen by Briggs. Historical records name them: Albert Richardson, the first mate, an experienced sailor from Maine; Andrew Gilling, the second mate, a 25-year-old from New York; and 4 seamen, Folkert and Bos Lorenzen, brothers from Germany; Arian Martens, also German; and Gottlieb Gudschad, likely Danish. The ship's steward and cook was Edward Head, a young American. These men were described in port records as capable and reliable, with no reported issues before departure. In the hold, the Mary Celeste carried 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, a high-value cargo destined for industrial use in Italy. The barrels were tightly packed and secured, as confirmed by the ship's manifest and insurers' reports. New York port records show the departure was routine. The weather was calm, the ship was seaworthy, and all paperwork was in order. Nothing hinted at the strange fate awaiting the Mary Celeste. On December 5, 1872, the Dei Gratia, another brigantine, was sailing about 400 miles east of the Azores, a remote group of islands in the Atlantic. Her captain, David Reed Morehouse, was a friend of Captain Briggs, the two having reportedly dined together in New York before their ships departed. The Dei Gratia had left New York 8 days after the Mary Celeste, following a similar route to Europe. That morning, the Dei Gratia's lookout spotted a vessel drifting erratically. Her sails were partially set, some torn, and she wasn't under proper control. As they approached, Morehouse recognized the ship as the Mary Celeste. Alarmed, he ordered a boarding party to investigate. According to Morehouse's testimony, logged in official records, the ship appeared intact but was moving aimlessly, suggesting no one was at the helm. When the Dei Gratia's crew, led by First Mate Oliver DeVoe, boarded the Mary Celeste, they found a scene that was both ordinary and unsettling. The ship was completely empty. No captain, no crew, no passengers. Yet, the vessel was in remarkably good condition. The cabins below deck were orderly, clothes were neatly folded in the crew's quarters, and personal items like razors, pipes, and books were untouched. In the captain's cabin, Sarah Briggs's sewing machine and Sophia's toys were still in place, as if they'd only stepped away for a moment. The galley had pots, pans, and food supplies, with enough fresh water and provisions to last 6 months, according to DeVoe's report. The ship's logbook, found in the captain's cabin, was meticulous, as expected from Briggs. Its final entry, dated November 25, 1872, at 8 a.m., recorded the ship's position as 6 miles north of Santa Maria Island in the Azores, with calm seas and no mention of trouble. The slate log, used for daily notes, had an entry from November 24th, also showing normal conditions. The ship's chronometer, compass, and sextant, valuable navigation tools, were still on board, ruling out theft. The only clear sign of abandonment was the missing yawl, the ship's small lifeboat, along with its oars. There was no evidence of violence, no blood, no signs of a struggle, no damage from weapons. The ship's hull was sound, with no leaks or breaches, as confirmed by the boarding party's inspection. The sails were worn and some rigging was damaged, but nothing severe enough to disable the ship. 3 unusual details stood out in the official reports. Several barrels of alcohol were found empty, likely due to leakage. The ship's pumps were disassembled, suggesting maintenance or malfunction, and about 3.5 feet of seawater was in the hold. Not enough to threaten the ship, but unusual for a vessel still afloat. The Dei Gratia's crew, under Devoe's command, sailed the Mary Celeste to Gibraltar, arriving on December 12, 1872. There, a British Vice Admiralty court launched a salvage inquiry, as documented in official records. The investigation was thorough, involving testimony from Morehouse, Devoe, and other crew members. They examined the ship's condition, cargo, and belongings. The chronometer, worth a significant sum, was still on board, further dismissing piracy. The cargo of alcohol was mostly intact, though some barrels had leaked, likely due to rough seas or poor sealing, as noted in the court's findings. The court explored every possibility: piracy, mutiny, foul play, or natural disaster. No evidence supported any of these. The crew's belongings, including their sea chests and clothing, were undisturbed. The ship showed no signs of fire, explosion, or structural failure. Weather records from the Atlantic for late November showed no major storms severe enough to force an evacuation. The court's final report, issued in March 1873, concluded there was no evidence of criminal activity but offered no explanation for the crew's disappearance. The Mary Celeste was awarded to the Dei Gratia's crew as salvage and later sold to new owners. Historians and maritime experts have studied the Mary Celeste for over a century, drawing on the Gibraltar Inquiry, ship logs, and contemporary accounts. Several theories attempt to explain the crew's disappearance, all grounded in the evidence. Alcohol fumes. The industrial alcohol in the hold could have leaked, creating dangerous fumes. Briggs, known for his caution, might have feared an explosion, especially if the ship's ventilation was poor. He could have ordered everyone into the lifeboat as a precaution, intending to return once the air cleared. If the lifeboat became separated from the ship, perhaps by a sudden wind or current, the crew would have been stranded in the open ocean. Mistaken flooding. The disassembled pumps and seawater in the hold suggest the crew may have thought the ship was sinking. A faulty sounding rod, used to measure water in the hold, could have given a false reading, leading Briggs to believe the ship was in danger. In a panic, he might have ordered an evacuation, only for the lifeboat to be lost. Natural event. A waterspout, a tornado-like phenomenon over water, could have struck the ship, causing sudden chaos. The damaged sails and rigging, along with the seawater in the hold, support this idea. Briggs might have ordered a hasty evacuation, fearing the ship was compromised. Alternatively, a sudden squall could have prompted a similar response. None of these theories fully account for the evidence. The ship was seaworthy, with no damage severe enough to justify abandonment. The logbook showed no distress, and the crew's belongings were left behind, suggesting they expected to return. Most puzzling, no trace of the lifeboat, the crew, or the Briggs family was ever found. The Atlantic is vast, but the complete absence of wreckage or bodies is extraordinary. After the inquiry, the Mary Celeste returned to service under new owners, but her reputation as a cursed ship lingered. Sailors were reluctant to serve on her, and she changed hands several times. In 1885, her final captain, Gilman Parker, deliberately ran her aground on a reef in Haiti as part of a failed insurance fraud scheme, as documented in court records. The ship was destroyed, but her story lived on. Newspapers of the time, including the New York Times and the London Times, covered the mystery extensively, fueling public fascination. The Mary Celeste became a maritime legend, though early reports avoided fictional embellishments, sticking to the facts from the Gibraltar Inquiry. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle later wrote a fictional story inspired by the case, calling the ship the Marie Celeste, which introduced some myths, but the core mystery remains untouched by fiction. The Mary Celeste's story endures because of its stark simplicity. A seaworthy ship, a capable crew, a meticulous captain, and ample supplies. Yet 10 people vanished without a trace. Historical records confirm every detail: the tidy cabins, the missing lifeboat, the calm log entries, and the court's bafflement. The ocean has swallowed countless ships, but the Mary Celeste is unique. She didn't sink, she didn't burn, she didn't break apart. She sailed on, empty, as if her crew simply stepped off into the unknown. The mystery reminds us of the sea's vast power to hide its secrets. No bodies, no lifeboat, no answers, just a ghost ship drifting silently, carrying a question that may never be solved. The Mary Celeste story still puzzles historians and adventurers alike. What's your theory on what really happened? Let me know in the comments below.